Hi, my name is Michael Yah,
I'm Zach Wattis.
I'm Chase Windage.
and for our project, we were researching the demise of the bluefin tuna. So, what was the problem with the bluefin tuna? So, mainly the problem was just that they were being overfished, specifically by Japan, which was causing the population to drop, which also had a substantial impact on the environment, and in the future, it would have effects on many other aspects. So, what was causing this was mainly just a lack of legislation and laws enforced by the governments, and basically just a lack of actually enforcing already existing laws, so people weren't really taking those into account. And also, much of Japan's economy was basically based around bluefin tuna, and a lot of their diet consisted of it. So, because of this, since a lot of people needed to use the fish, that they basically had a reason to fish, and because of that, with their population also growing, the numbers that the fish are being consumed is just continuously growing, while the population of them is continually decreasing. And what are some effects of the declining bluefin tuna? So basically, the ecosystem is suffering because the bluefin tuna is a keystone species, which basically means it has a big impact on a lot of other species besides itself. And also, other animals in the ocean, basically, they're being also affected when equipment from the fishermen are being left in the ocean, and these aren't really, they're basically hurting other fish by either getting caught in the nets or having abandoned fishing lines. They're basically being left over and impacting other species. And also, with, like I said earlier, since the growing population is causing more fish to be caught, and with the declining numbers, since they're going against each other, there's basically less fish to actually sustain the economy, and it also reduces the biodiversity in aquatic ecosystems, and it's causing conflict between governments that basically some governments are supporting basically the fishing of bluefin tuna, like Japan, while other governments are fighting to save the fish, so those governments are starting to clash about this issue.
And then we started and we researched and found solutions for our project. And the first solution we found was farming bluefin tuna. It sounds the same as fishing, but it's not, because when they farm fish, you raise them in a closed environment, you can get as many eggs as possible. And it's a very easy process, and it can be done very well. And basically what they do is they raise and breed the bluefin tuna, and they separate them in size, kind of like when we went to the hatchery and we saw all of that over the summer. It's just that, but on a much larger scale. And they use circular containers to house the fish so they can swim, since they're a much bigger fish than what we saw this summer. And Dr. Kumai said that this needs to be a national project, because now not just Japan is eating sushi and fish, that so is America, and that's a problem. And then our second one was bluefin tuna stem cells. So this is a project they started with chickens, and they would use stem cells from chickens to basically raise these chickens from scratch and recreate the womb of the mother chicken to raise it. And now they're trying to do it with fish, because it's a healthy way to grow the fish without hurting the ecosystem by taking the fish, stealing them from the environment. And so it's a process where they extract DNA. They've already gotten enough to start a big project for it, and they are grown, like I said, they're grown in an environment stimulating the womb. And they, once they're fully grown into eggs, once they hatch, they're fed a similar food, so it's likely that they taste the same as fish already found in the environment. And the Washington Post said after that they created the fish, the only thing the scientists needed to figure out was how to raise them, and that's what we're working on now, so it can be a national project later. And then our third solution was stricter laws and legislation. So basically what that means when we're saying stricter laws, we want shorter fishing seasons for the bluefin tuna, which is what they're trying to fight for now, but it's a problem because Japan does not want to support this, because it's a large part of their economy. And also decreasing the amount of bluefin tuna that people can legally catch. It's kind of like how we have restrictions when we're hunting deer. It's a similar idea, and basically what that'll do is create laws that help promote attention to already existing regulations and help reduce the catch and help reduce fish killed in the environment.
So some pros and cons of these solutions. So some pros for farming is it's sustainable, so you can like reproduce more fish, and it helps reduces the fishing of like the wild tuna because they're created in these fish farms. Some cons is that it has a different taste than like the natural fish, and they are less fatty as like the natural fish, and so that means like they don't have as much quality. And some limitations are some of the more high-end companies prefer wild fish, and unemployment for fishermen can happen too if like there's all these fish being bred in farms. And then some implications are that the population of the wild bluefin tuna will rise, and there are more jobs for like bluefin tuna farmers. And there is Mr. Kunai also said that he wanted to make it more of like a national interest, and it needs to be more of like a government project. So for stem cells, there's some very many pros for it. Like one being that it's more successful than the farming, and some cons but it might not be able to be implemented like right away. And some limitations are that because it's not being able to be implemented, it's like way before its time, and there's not much that's been done in the past that can so it can be implemented on such a large scale. And some implications are a decrease in the overfishing of the tuna, and it's a more successful breeding program. And so the scientists, what they do is they provide the healthy stem cells, and by going out to sea, they gather the amount needed to produce a fish in the lab. And then the last is stricter legislation, which some pros are like there are official rules that are put pressure on people that break the law and can result in jail time or high fines. Some cons is that they're not really enforced as strictly as they should be, and because the Japanese government, like Zach said, the economy relies on this fish, and so approving the laws takes a very long time. And then some limitations are that the laws they're always broken because of this, and they take a long time to be approved. And implication would be the wild bluefin tuna will thrive under the protection of the government. And a quote by wildlife conservationist Stephanie Spear is that first institute a catch limit. The ISC advice calls for the commission to establish an annual quota of 2,750 metric tons, which includes all forms of catch from commercial to recreational to discards.
Okay, so for our conclusion, the solution that we saw was the best, or what we think is the best, is basically farming bluefin tuna, and there are a lot of reasons for this. So for one, it's like the other, it's already being done, but instead of say the stem cells, it's well into basic scientists are already familiar with this, unlike the stem cells. And also, if this was made commonplace, basically, it could satisfy all the bluefin tuna demands around the world, so there would be no need to fish the wild bluefin tuna anymore. And along with this, unlike the other ones, it also while it benefits the bluefin tuna, it also helps other people and the environment. So if stricter laws were made, the fishermen would lose their jobs, but it would not give other jobs to replace those. But with the farming bluefin tuna, it opens up opportunities at these farms, and that's how it helps people, and also helps the environment, because the environment is hurt by the fishermen in a lot of different ways. So if we get our bluefin tuna from these farms, there would be no threat to the environment. And overall, it would just be the most efficient solution, because with stricter legislation, like Chase said, approving these laws is a really lengthy process, and it can take months or even years, and the fish kind of need help right now. And basically, with the stem cells, the extracting the DNA, it still needs a lot of research to be perfected, and before people really begin to trust this process, because it's still relatively new. And those are